Hi, I'm Ski Oakenfull at Point Blank Online. I'm a producer, composer and keyboard player, and I've worked with bands and artists like Incognito, The Bays and Joey Negro. And you're watching Electronic Music Composition. If you enjoy this EMC series, don't forget you can take a whole course with content like this called Electronic Music Composition. To take a closer look at EMC, please head over to the course sample page, which includes extracts from each week's lesson. Thanks for sending in all your requests. We've got a very special one this time, as it actually came via Facebook direct from the artist. This is from Orbital's very own Paul Hartnell. Okay, so we're going to have a look at a track by Orbital called Chime. It's a seminal techno house track from 1990, and it was made with really early hardware, drum machines, samplers and sequencers. And pretty much from the start I remember them performing using all their equipment live, using the sequencers to trigger all the different sections. And with Session View in Ableton, it's very easy to recreate this scenario with all the clips being interchangeable with each other. So I've recreated the basic elements of this track, and I'm going to go through those in a minute, focusing on the bass lines. But first of all, I thought I'd give a performance using my Akai APC40, just to remind you what it sounds like. Okay, so first of all, let's have a quick look at the elements I've used to reconstruct this track. First of all, on this channel we've got the drums, and this is made up of some of the library sounds, the 909 classic kit here, and there's an 808 classic kit here, and there's an extra snare that I put in to recreate that. Then we've got this chord sound, this kind of repeating chords pattern. I've actually sampled this straight from the track. There was a little section in the intro, so I was just able to take that, put it into a simpler, and I've just played that pattern there. Then we have the actual main kind of melodic riff, which is in two parts. There's a simple part and then the full part a bit later on. And for this I actually made this myself using the Live 7 Legacy sample library, just taking a waveform and then putting a chord device on it. I'll just play that to you now. That's on its own. That's with a chord device. And actually took a little snippet of the original sample as well. Okay, so those are the chord sounds. Now let's have a look at the bass lines. And there are two main bass parts here. The first one is actually using a classic sound. It's called the Lately bass, and it was originally from a TX81Z, which is a Yamaha. It's like the rack version of a DX7. And what I've actually been able to do is to port that sound from the original library and put it into a Native Instruments FM8. I'll just play that to you now. So it's a classic sound, used on loads of those kind of 90s dance tracks, and pretty much that's the exact sound. So there's that. Then there's also a kind of acid bass sound, which was most likely made on a TB303 classic Roland machine. I'll just play that to you now. And I've just made that using the analog and added a bit of EQ. I've just taken off some of the bottom end just so that frequency wise it doesn't interfere with the other bass line, and I've added some chorus to that as well just to kind of widen the sound. We can kind of mess around with that frequency cut off if we want to, just to have some fun. Okay, so let's have a look at the bass lines of this track. As I mentioned before, there are two bass sounds, each with their own slightly different bass parts. And the first thing we want to establish is the actual key of the track. So I'm just going to play the first bass line now. This is the one that's coming off the FM8. So we're going to look for the tonic, which is going to determine the key signature of this track. So I'm going to play it now and just play along and see if we can find that. So the tonic is E flat, and it's got quite a happy majory sound, so we're going to assume that it's in E flat major, and these are the notes of the scale associated with E flat major. We've got three flats, the E flat, the A flat and the B flat. And the whole bass line is constructed using the notes of E flat major. But as we saw before, the actual chord melody is created with a chord device. So even though we're in E flat major, when we actually play the chords, there are some notes that aren't in E flat major, but the root notes of those chords are always notes from the scale of E flat major. It actually sounds something like this. So if we just play the bass notes now, you can see that I'm always playing notes from E flat major. And if I just play the first bass line again, if we play these two chords, we've got E flat major and B flat major. And this E flat major is the 1 chord, and this B flat major is the 5 chord. And this is an extremely common progression. This 5 chord has a feeling of resolution, like it actually wants to go back to the 1 chord. And especially if we add the 7th note, which is the 7, this would be called a B flat 7 chord. We have an extremely common chord progression there, found in classical, pop music, everywhere. So let's go on to the bass line now and just play along with this chord pattern. Very, very simple, using the 1 and the 5. So this is extended a bit later on when the chord melody is played in full, and I'm going to play that to you now. And what's happening here is, again, we're just using the notes from E flat major, E flat major scale, and we're playing the 1, the 5, and then going down to the 4, which is this A flat, and then briefly back up to the B flat, and then down to the F, which is the 2nd note of E flat major, and then the G, which is the 3rd note, and then back down to the E flat, which is the tonic. I'm just going to quickly play those notes again, the notes in E flat major. So we've got, and they're underpinning the chords that are being played. So I'm going to play along now with that. So the most important thing to remember here is that you only need to be able to play the notes in E flat major, and this is how we create this melodic bass line that's going along with the chord melody. So that's that bass line. Then we have this other more acidic TB303 bass line, which I'm going to play to you now. And it's quite similar in a way to the first one, in the fact that the first two notes are the same. We've got the E flat, which is the 1, and then the B flat, which is the 5. But instead of going down to the A flat, it actually goes up to the C. So we have this bass line. And this C is an interesting note because it's actually, if we play the scale of C minor, you can see that the notes in C minor are exactly the same as the notes in E flat major. And we can actually call the scale of C minor the relative minor of E flat major. And every major scale has a relative minor, and obviously every minor scale has a relative major. And the way to determine that is if we take the major key, the major scale, and go down 3 semitones, 1, 2, 3, we can always determine the relative minor. So anyway, I'm going to play along now and play this TB303 bass line. So you can see that's a really funky bass line that goes very well with the other one. So I hope you enjoyed my deconstruction of this great track and you can enjoy playing along. Please remember that these are designed to inspire you to create your own bass lines, and I hope it will help you compose your own tracks. So if you're into this, then head over to pointblankonline.net and check out the EMC course. Remember, if you want to suggest tracks for us to look at, tweet the track name using the hashtag on screen. We'll feature as many as we can. See you next time.
At Point Blank Online, you've got two methods of interaction with your tutor. Firstly, you've got the weekly online masterclass, which is in real time. And then also we've got feedback on your assignments, and that's known as DVR. So the online masterclass is a 1-hour session you get with your tutor every week. You can ask questions about the lesson content and get instant feedback, and also demonstrations on the fly from their computer desktop with our streaming technology. DVR stands for Direct Video Response, and the concept is really simple. You upload your Ableton Logic or Cubase project file to your tutor, he downloads it and then pushes record on the screen capturing software and evaluates your work, so basically giving you one-to-one feedback. You see all of the mouse movements and any parameter changes made by your tutor. It's kind of like sitting in the studio over their shoulder watching what they're doing whilst they work. We have found the DVR process has truly revolutionized the way that we teach online, and the results speak for themselves. Book your place on a course now by visiting pointblankonline.net.